In this corner, the moody Canadian megastar who built an empire out of heartbreak anthems, Instagram captions, and enough ghostwriters to fill a school bus. In the other corner, the original Autotune alchemist who made it cool to croon about strippers and sip cocktails with a Bluetooth in his ear. Tonight, we're peeling back the platinum curtain on a rivalry that's been simmering for over a decade. Was T-Pain just the blueprint Drake borrowed? Or did Drake snatch the whole IKEA instruction manual and leave Tay in the clearance bin? Strap in. Because this story has everything. Stolen hooks, shady text messages, Twitter tantrums, and a lesson in why you should never teach your replacement all your tricks. Before we unpack the petty saga, do me a favor. Tap, like, body slam, subscribe, and drop-kick that bell icon like you're throwing a drink at your ex's new fling. It's free, it's fast, and it tells the algorithm you want more of this hip-hop forensic drama. Let's rewind the cassette to 2008, an era when T-Pain was basically the human cheat code. If you turned on the radio, you were guaranteed to hear one of two things: a song by T-Pain or a song featuring T-Pain, sometimes both on the same track. He didn't invent Autotune, but he turned it into a cultural superweapon. Rappers lined up like it was the DMV just to get him on a hook. Snoop Dogg? Yep. Kanye? Of course. Jamie Foxx? You bet. T-Pain was the melodic Midas.
Here are the nominees for Best Collaboration.
Chris Brown featuring T-Pain, Flow Riders featuring T-Pain, DJ Khaled featuring T-Pain, Kanye West featuring T-Pain, T-Pain featuring T-Pain.
And the winner is T-Pain. Let's go.
Everything he touched turned into a Billboard smash. Meanwhile, a young Aubrey Drake Graham was still finding his footing in the rap world. He hadn't yet mastered the sad boy with a bottle persona, but he was paying close attention. Because here's the part Drake will never fully admit. Before Take Care, before Nothing Was the Same, before the hundreds of features, there was T-Pain. Drake himself said it. When he first heard 50 Cent sing 21 Questions, a light bulb went off. Then, when he linked with Lil Wayne and soaked up the Autotune energy in the Young Money camp, the blueprint crystallized. And the final catalyst? Kanye's 808s and Heartbreak. An album T-Pain claimed was inspired directly by Rappa Turnt Senga. Kanye himself told T-Pain, "Bro, I listened to your debut over and over before I made this." The title, 808s and Heartbreak, was practically a love letter to Tay's formula. And guess who was taking notes in the back row? Yup, Aubrey. Fast forward to 2009. T-Pain is on top of the world, but cracks start to show. Snoop Dogg drops Sensual Seduction, singing through Autotune himself, and proves you don't need Tay to get that sound. Before Snoop flipped the switch, T-Pain was basically the cheat code. He'd said, "I was the cheat code until Snoop did Sensual Seduction." Even Jamie Foxx didn't want to look like he was copying T-Pain. He cut him in on Blame It. Diddy even tossed him a point on Last Train to Paris because, well, everyone knew whose sauce they were using.
I was the cheat code until Snoop did Sensual Seduction. Before that, Jamie Foxx got me on Blame It because he was using Autotune, and he was like, "I don't want to be seen as trying to take your." Diddy gave me a point on Last Train to Paris because he was using Autotune.
Just because he was using it.
Just because he was using I wasn't even on the
That's
album.
dope.
Like I said, I was the face. So anytime anybody had anything to do with Autotune, it was me. I was involved.
Right.
And Snoop made it clear to people, this is just available for everybody.
Suddenly, every rapper with a MacBook Pro and a Melodyne plugin is hopping on the wave. Autotune gets so oversaturated that Jay-Z declares it the enemy of real rap. Death of Autotune isn't just a song, it's a funeral march. T-Pain feels attacked.
I was pissed off. I didn't listen to the song either, so it was just like, all I heard was Autotune and death. It's my technique, that's what I'm known for. So when I hear death of that, wow.
You're taking it as like Death of T-Pain.
Yeah,
almost.
you know what I'm saying?
He even crashes Jay's Summer Jam set uninvited, looking like he's ready to throw hands over a vocoder. Trying to calm the storm, Tay dropped an apology freestyle called More Careful, rapping his mea culpa over Drake's Successful. But momentum had already shifted. Meanwhile, T-Pain's label starts whispering in his ear. The label flat out said, "You're on every other song. Step back. Let people miss you." That break opened a Drake-sized hole in the industry. And this, right here, was the fatal mistake. While Tay took a breather, Drake pounced. He signed to Young Money. He jumped on tour with Wayne and T-Pain. And he didn't just watch. He studied every melody, every hook, every technique. When T-Pain stepped back, Drake filled the void with mixtapes and features at a psychotic pace. Best I Ever Had, Successful, I'm Still Fly. He was basically T-Pain Jr., but with a Degrassi backstory. By the time Tay came back with Revolver, the world had already moved on. Autotune was no longer his signature. It was the industry's default setting. And the new face of melodic rap? Drake. Here's where the resentment started to bubble. T-Pain tried to salvage momentum by reaching out to Drake in 2011. He had a song, 5 O'Clock, and he wanted Drake to jump on it. So he did something no ego-protecting artist should ever do. He drove from Atlanta to Toronto to beg for a verse. 3 days later, he left empty-handed. He tweeted, "Find Drake and tell him to finish that verse so my album can finally drop." And Drake? He ghosted him.
He went on the Breakfast Club and he was like, if T-Pain was light-skinned, Drake wouldn't exist.
Have you ever did a record with Drake?
I did 4 records for Drake. I wanted Drake to get on 5 o'clock in the morning, my record. I drove from Atlanta to Toronto to go get the record, and he never did it. And then after that, I went on Twitter, as per advice of my managers. It was just like, everybody go tag Drake and tell him to finish that record I gave him. Then he hit my managers like, tell T-Pain, I know he don't really want to work with me. He gaslit me.
Then hit Tay's manager with the most manipulative line ever. "If T-Pain really wanted to work with me, he wouldn't have to ask on Twitter." Bro, come on. Meanwhile, Drake took the songs they did record together and used T-Pain's vocals on Take Care. No feature credit, no co-billing, just Drake's name on the spine. While T-Pain was licking his wounds, Drake was turning T-Pain's style into a global empire. The blueprint was now a skyscraper. And even though Drake publicly credited T-Pain's influence, it didn't feel like respect. It felt like appropriation.
There's people who inspired me. Obviously, 50 Cent, 21 Questions will probably be my most inspiring example of a guy who's not supposed to be singing. Obviously, you had, T-Pain and Wayne doing their style of things, which was huge. Another major example was 808s, basically a singing album inspired by genres in music that maybe people in rap didn't even know about. I'll always give credit where credit is due, so I credit all those people with that movement.
Years later, Drake said in interviews that he planned a graceful exit. He wanted to walk away before the crowd booed him off stage. He said, "I'd rather bow out than get kicked out." T-Pain heard that and thought, damn, that's solid advice. So he did it. He stepped back, started streaming on Twitch, dropped music on his own time. No pressure, no labels breathing down his neck. But Drake? He didn't bow out. Instead, he transformed into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, dropping album after album, project after project. Every 6 months, a new era, a new heartbreak, a new gimmick. And the quality? Like an iPhone update, slightly shinier, but nothing that made you gasp. When Scorpion landed, the split personality of Drake was undeniable. Side A, rap disses aimed at Pusha T and Kanye. Side B, crooning love songs that sounded suspiciously like T-Pain's catalog. T-Pain even admitted he couldn't listen to Side B without feeling like he was hearing his own reflection. "Half of it's me," he said in an interview. He didn't mean it as a diss. He was just stating the obvious. Drake was cooking with Tay's recipe. But the cracks really started to show when the Meek Mill ghostwriting scandal erupted. Suddenly, the carefully curated narrative of Drake the genius was in question. When reporters asked T-Pain what he thought, he didn't spit venom. He gave genuine advice. If you're the best, just be the best. You don't have to keep telling everyone.
That's been happening for years. The only thing I think people got shooken up about is, if somebody say that they're the best and they don't say, I got the best team doing this, like, I'm the collectively the best, like, then it kind of gets like, oh, you lied if you truly are the best, and just be the best, and you don't really have to say anything. People already know that. It wasn't a big deal. It was just, people felt lied to, and they was like, ooh, we found out something we weren't supposed to know.
That's not resentment. That's a veteran trying to drop wisdom. But Drake heard every word like it was a sub. Because when you feel like you're the biggest artist on earth, everything feels like a threat. Fast forward to the infamous battle with Pusha T. Drake got cooked. No debate. T-Pain kept it real again. Pusha had better bars. Drake had better songs. But Drake definitely lost. He even confessed he was dying to hear the unreleased diss track Drake refused to drop, supposedly so savage it would have scorched the earth.
Who do you think won the Drake-Pusha T rap battle?
Both were equally great. If we're just talking about pure rap battle, Drake had better songs, Pusha T had better lyrics. If we're talking W's to L's, the Drake situation seemed a little worse than Pusha T's. Drake not putting out his last diss song, which I'd love to hear, because he said himself, I said some terrible things on there.
Right.
I would just like to know.
Now you want to hear it.
I mean, obviously, you can't start that kind of sentence and not let us hear that.
Then came Honestly Nevermind, a house album full of smooth, syrupy vocals. Guess who claimed he sent Drake songs for inspiration? Yep, T-Pain. He explained on stream that he shared 2 records through Gordo, one of the producers. The songs never made the cut, but Drake's album sounded suspiciously familiar. When his chat said, "Bro, they stole your stuff," including DJ Academics, T-Pain shrugged. Everybody's doing something somebody already did.
I sent the 2 songs for the Honestly Nevermind from Gordo. I'm talking about Gordo, and that was on the plane with him. Showed him the song. I mean, they got inspiration from the song and did another song, which is cool. I'm totally fine with that. But
they stole your shit.
They didn't steal nothing.
There you go.
You just said you heard some shit that sounded like your shit, but it wasn't your shit. That's called theft.
Everybody's doing something that somebody done did before. It ain't never gonna be different.
Everybody's doing something somebody already did. On the surface, that sounds chill. But let's be real. Nobody likes seeing their sauce get rebranded with 0 credit. He even clown-checked a TMZ reporter who asked about Drake's album. Did you ask Drake about my album when you saw him?
There was a TMZ lady out there, and she was like, T-Pain, are you hype about the new Drake album? And I said, did you ask him about my album? And she said, is that a diss? Did you just diss Drake? And I said, no, did you ask him about my album? Or when you saw T-Pain, all you can think about was Drake? They're looking for something, and I understand that. I'm a Drake fan. I'm more of a party fan than I am a Drake fan.
Cue headlines claiming T-Pain disses Drake. He was just tired of living in the OVO shadow. By 2024, Drake was a man on a mission to prove he was still on top. After Kendrick Lamar demolished him in their lyrical slugfest, Drake scrambled. He dropped 20 songs in a single year. He flooded streaming platforms.
Yeah. Drake is like, no, listen, okay, I got another one. Oh, check this out. Y'all didn't like that one? Okay, real quick, just one more. Let me try one more. And then he's the person that he said, he didn't want to be.
He announced an album with Party Next Door to coincide with Kendrick's Super Bowl moment. He even tried to live stream during Kendrick's Toronto concert. An obvious ploy to steal headlines. But the desperation was transparent. Fans weren't buying it. Even the one-hit Nokia sounded like a spiritual sequel to T-Pain's Freeze. Same stretch vocals, same Autotune shimmer, different era. When T-Pain heard it, he couldn't help but chuckle. Again, y'all still borrowing my blueprint? By 2025, Drake was trapped in a loop. More albums, more leaks, more half-hearted bangers. He was like a magician who'd already shown the crowd all his tricks but refused to leave the stage. T-Pain noticed it too. He streamed a reaction to Drake's collab album with Party Next Door and called it what it was, a pile of throwaways. Not trash. Just leftovers reheated in the microwave. He's not washed, T-Pain clarified.
Drake is by no way washed. Not in any sense of the word. Drake is by no way washed. It's Drake, bro. This man has 75 million monthly listeners. Would it benefit him if he was just like, let them 75 million people just bask in what I got now, and I'll just probably chill out for a second. Yeah, that probably helped. 75 million people, bro, they ain't going nowhere. He literally has a chance to take a break and go on vacation.
He just needs a break. Make people miss you. But Drake didn't want to be missed. He wanted to be unforgettable. Ironically, the man who once inspired T-Pain to bow out gracefully was now the same artist clinging to relevance like a dog with separation anxiety.
And I learned that from him. Like when he said that, I want to gracefully bow out and not get kicked out. I was like, you know what? I'm out this.
This is live shows now.
If you want to know how deep this goes, let's rewind to when T-Pain finally told the story behind 5 o'clock. He drove all the way to Toronto, hoping Drake would hop on the track. 3 days of studio sessions. 3 days of, yeah bro, we'll get to it. And nothing. Instead, Drake used T-Pain's vocals to sprinkle seasoning all over Take Care. No courtesy call. No follow-up. Just a quiet thanks and a wave goodbye. Years later, on a podcast, T-Pain finally put it out there. I made 4 records for his album. He made 0 for mine.
Chilled with him for like 3 days. I did 4 records for his album. He did 0 records for mine. But I went to go get a joint for me and ended up doing 4 for him. And it was like, okay.
Did he make the album? His album?
One of them did. One of them did.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which one?
It was on the Take Care album.
Did you use your vocals or just producing?
It was my vocals. Yeah.
And when he called Drake out on Twitter, Drake pulled the gaslight card. I guess you don't really want to work with me. That's the rap game equivalent of a boyfriend saying, wow, if you really loved me, you wouldn't be mad that I forgot your birthday. Bro, come on. This was the last time they ever worked together. No big fallout, just silence. A chasm of unreturned calls and uncredited ideas. By then, Drake had fully evolved from understudy to headline act.
I study rap battles for a living.
The industry didn't need T-Pain anymore because they had an upgraded model. A singing rapper who could tap into every genre and every demographic. Even T-Pain admitted it. I was Drake before Drake. Tay once joked, if I was light-skinned, Drake wouldn't exist. Half joke, half thesis statement. He laughed when he said it, but you could feel the sting under the humor. When you're the innovator, you rarely get the credit you deserve. You just watch your proteges take your formula to heights you never imagined. Travis Scott? Future. Even Kanye's 808s? All tributaries flowing from the river T-Pain dug out of thin air. But in interviews, the credit was always about Wayne, Kanye, and Drake. T-Pain was the footnote. What's wild is that T-Pain never stopped rooting for Drake. He wasn't a hater. He was a realist. When he said Drake needed a break, it wasn't out of spite. It was out of respect. You got 75 million monthly listeners. Take a vacation. Make them miss you. Come back swinging. But Drake, ever the petty prince, couldn't handle it. He saw advice as a jab, perspective as an attack. He commented under a clip of T-Pain giving that opinion. This guy has always had resentment for me. You can hear it every time he speaks on my name. Really? Because everything T-Pain said sounded more like tough love than a diss track. He didn't roast Drake's catalog. He didn't call him washed. He just suggested. Maybe step away before people drag you out the back door. And here's the punchline nobody talks about. Drake once said he wanted to bow out gracefully. He wanted to leave the game on his own terms. T-Pain heard that and applied it to his own career. He stopped chasing charts. He stopped caring about being the biggest. He pivoted to streaming, touring, recording on his schedule. When he drops something, it's because he feels like it, not because the label calendar said so. Drake, though, He became the exact artist he promised he wouldn't be: desperate, overexposed, dropping mid in bulk, hoping something would stick. It's like watching a legendary chef who refuses to step out of the kitchen, burning dish after dish, while insisting, "I'm still the best." And that, more than any missing verse or unpaid credit, is why the tension between Drake and T-Pain still lingers in 2025. Because deep down, Drake knows T-Pain was right. If you made it this far, you're officially certified in Rap History 101. But don't leave me hanging. Tap like, smash, subscribe, and throw a comment below. Whose side are you on? Drake, the melodic mogul who ran off with the recipe? Or T-Pain, the blueprint nobody credits enough? Let me know, because your takes keep this conversation alive. And if you thought this saga was petty, oh, you have no idea. Next time, we're diving into the full story of how Drake tried to sabotage Kendrick's Super Bowl moment. One desperate move at a time. You won't want to miss it. So stay locked, stay loud, and I'll catch you in the next one.